Thank you. So we have short time here. It's little of an art to speak on such a short time. Abraham Lincoln once wrote a letter to a friend. He wrote, "I'm writing you a long letter. I don't have time to write you a short one." So that's kind of the challenge. I've written a short paper that my wife will just pass out a copy to each of you. So if I miss something, don't have time, at least you can study it for yourself afterwards. Anyhow, I made this presentation called Intelligent Design, or Symptoms of the Action of Consciousness in a Modern Vedic Context. We're talking about consciousness, and but consciousness is something that's very hard to actually study, except our own immediate conscious experience. We can only study consciousness circumstantially or indirectly. One such category of studies of symptoms of consciousness is symptoms found on physical objects, physical events, and this kind of studies can be called for argument from design. And an argument from design refers to the inference that a feature cannot be explained as solely the result of physical processes or of chance, but is due to conscious activity. Such inferences are commonplace. For instance, archaeologists study flints to see if everything can be explained as a result of natural geological processes, or if certain features, such as a series of parallel strikes, must be the result of conscious activity. If archaeologists conclude the latter, they can be said to have inferred design or intelligent design. Design arguments applied to nature and the universe are old stuff within philosophy, theology, and science, tracing back into the pre-Christian Western world, as well as being found in other contexts, such as India's tradition of Vedic philosophy. Appeals to design have generally been used to substantiate the existence of a deity, adding a controversial feature to design arguments. Cicero wrote, is from between 106 to 43 BC. When you look at a picture or a statue, you recognize that it is a work of art. When you follow from afar the course of a ship upon the sea, you do not question that its movement is guided by a skilled intelligence. When you see a sundial or a water clock, you see that it tells the time by design and not by chance. How then can you imagine that the universe as a whole is devoid of purpose and intelligence, but embraces everything, including these artifacts themselves and their artificers? Similar arguments were made by Socrates and Plato and other Greeks, by Augustine, Aquinas, and other Christian scholastics, and by founders of modern science such as Bacon, Kepler, and Newton. For instance, Newton wrote in the Principia, "This most beautiful system of the sun, planets, and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being." The term intelligent design has also been known in the West for centuries. Even Charles Darwin used it. Quote, "One cannot look at this universe with all living productions and man without believing that all has been intelligently designed." Darwin said that. "Yet, when I look to each individual organism, I can see no evidence of this." There's another quote here from Scientific American, 1847. "Where must we look for this fountain but to the great storehouse of nature? The innumerable and diversified objects there were presented to our view give evidence of infinite skill and intelligent design in their adaptation to each other and to the nature of man." The Oxford scholar F.C.S. Schiller wrote in 1897, "It will not be possible to rule out the supposition that the process of evolution may be guided by an intelligent design," from 1897. Even Alfred Russel Wallace, the co-developer with Charles Darwin of a theory of evolution, came to believe that a higher intelligence guided the process. Then if we turn to the Vedic tradition of India, which is arguably older and richer than the Western tradition, also their design arguments are commonplace. For instance, Shankara wrote around 800, "In the case of such things as a lump of earth or stone, no power of contrivance is seen, but the design of special forms out of such things as clay is seen when they are superintended by potters and the like. In the same way, material nature transforms itself only when connected with a superintending external intelligence. The philosopher Udayana, around 900, wrote, "Whatever possesses a cause like a chariot is dependent upon a prior intelligent causal agent. Similar in character is this world. Therefore it is dependent upon a prior intelligent causal agent." Also, Ramanuja was discussing design arguments, although to a large degree criticizing them for their limitations. Some have even drawn a parallel to Hume's later criticism of design arguments. Ramanuja stated that one cannot conclude the designer is God, who is omnipotent, benevolent, etc. There may be many designers, or maybe they are limited, imperfect, or not even transcendental. But Ramanuja still did see that design arguments have their place to counter materialistic ideas. Thus he argued against the atheistic Sankhya philosophers as follows. The pradhan, or nature, that you Sankhyas affirm is not competent to produce the arrangement of this variegated world, for it is non-intelligent and not superintended by an agent understanding its essential nature. So it is in similar situations, just as wood and other materials by themselves are incompetent to construct a chariot or palace. From observation we know that unconscious materials like wood, not superintended by an agent who knows their nature, fail to bring about effects, and also from observation we know that materials produce effects when supervised by a knowledgeable agent. Thus the pradhan, unsupervised by a knowledgeable agent, cannot be the cause of the world. That was Ramanuja. In the 18th century, Baladev Vidyabhusana wrote, material nature is inert, as such it cannot be the cause of matter, neither as a material nor as an efficient cause. Seeing the wonderful arrangement and management of the cosmic manifestation generally suggests that a living brain is behind this arrangement. For without a living brain, such an arrangement could not exist. In our practical experience, we never see that inert bricks can themselves construct a big building. In the 19th century, Ram Mohan Roy embraced traditional Vedic design arguments to show that Hinduism is in essence also monotheistic. Quote, "We see the multifarious, wonderful universe, as well as the birth, existence, and annihilation of its different parts. Hence, we naturally infer the existence of a being who regulates the whole and call him supreme. In the same manner as from the sight of a pot, we conclude the existence of its artificer." Is that correct pronounced? Okay. So, more examples can be given. Suffice it to say that design arguments have always been a staple amongst Vedic philosophers. Then we come to the modern intelligent design movement, where today design arguments are back with renewed force by the emergence of an intelligent design movement that over the past generation has captured attention. Some detractors are denouncing it as a veiled Christian movement of biblical literalism, but not everyone agrees with this pronouncement. As seen from the above, design arguments have never been the monopoly of any one particular religion or worldview. Quantum physicist and Nobel laureate Dr. Brian Josephson stated recently, "I believe that intelligence may play a role in how evolution has occurred. One of the big mistakes of those who attack intelligent design is to regard evolution and God as mutually exclusive. So they say that someone who believes in intelligent design doesn't believe in evolution, but that's not the case. The statement creationism disguised as science is a totally false view of what has happened. Let's see what science can tell us. That's what intelligent design is about." Also, if ID, intelligent design, had religious premises, how could the famous English, until then atheist, Antony Flew, have changed his mind and become convinced by intelligent design that, quote, "the findings of more than 50 years of DNA research have provided materials for a new and enormously powerful argument to design." Nothing critics can say, whether appealing to politically motivated condemnations of ID issued by pro-Darwin scientific authorities or harping upon the religious beliefs of ID proponents, will change the fact that intelligent design is not a faith-based argument. The chemist Dr. Charles Thaxton, who became an early advocate of intelligent design, said, The idea of that life had an intelligent source is hardly unique to Christian fundamentalism. Advocates of design have included not only Christians and other religious theists, but pantheists, Greek and Enlightenment philosophers, and now include many modern scientists who describe themselves as religiously agnostic. Moreover, the concept of design implies absolutely nothing about beliefs normally associated with Christian fundamentalism, such as a young earth, a global flood, or even the existence of the Christian God. All it implies is that life had an intelligent source. The term intelligent design was coined in its present usage by the British cosmologist Dr. Sir Fred Hoyle. In 1982, he stated, if one proceeds directly and straightforwardly in this manner, without being deflected by a fear of incurring the wrath of scientific opinion, one arrives at the conclusion that biomaterials, with their amazing measure of order, must be the outcome of intelligent design. In a book named By Design, journalist Larry Whitham traces the roots of the intelligent design movement in biology back to the 1950s and 60s, and the movement itself to the 1970s. Biochemists were unraveling the secret of DNA and discovering an elaborate information processing system that included nanotechnology of unparalleled sophistication. One of the first to describe the significance of these discoveries was chemist and philosopher Dr. Michael Paley, who in 1966 argued that machines are irreducible to physics and chemistry, and that mechanistic structures of living beings appear to be likewise irreducible. Polanyi also wrote, information in the DNA can no more be reduced to chemistry than the ideas in a book can be reduced to ink and paper, something beyond physics, and chemistry is encoded in the DNA. Biochemist Michael Behe would later develop Polanyi's insights with his irreducible complexity, and mathematician William Dembski would find Polanyi's work so influential that he set out to develop a mathematical criterion to be able to infer intelligent design with certainty, which ended with his specified complexity. Thus today, the design argument is back with a renewed force, partly due to the scientific evidence of molecular biology, partly due to theoretical advances by design theorists. Dembski thus argues that his statistical criteria of specified complexity or specified small probability is a sure indicator of intelligent design. He argues that if an event exhibits both a very small probability and at the same time corresponds to an independently given pattern, a specification, one can with certainty infer design. Previously, design arguments were analogies where one feature known to be designed and another feature of unknown origin were compared, and similarities were used to argue for the design of the latter. This argument was mainly intuitive, for the question is, what does actually constitute sufficient similarity? Two objects may have similarities but also show some differences, otherwise they would be identical objects. So how does one decide whether the similarities justifies a design inference or the differences speaks against it? This was Hume's critique of the argument from analogy. Dembski claims that Hume's critique has been rendered void by the criterion of specified complexity. Wherever this trait of specified complexity is found, one can, according to Dembski, be mathematically sure that its origin is an intelligent cause. This criterion can be applied to detect design in any field. Proponents of intelligent design are quick to point out that life, as well as the universe itself, are rife with examples of specified complexity. Thus, the argument for design has found a new strength and relevance. Then design in a modern Vedic context. Parallel with the emergence of the ID movement, other groups of scientists with roots in Vedic philosophy had developed similar design arguments. One such group of scientists are centered around A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, 1896 to 1997, who himself was a strong critic of materialistic views, including Darwinism. In 1973, he founded his Bhaktivedanta Institute, which attracted scientists such as chemist Dr. Todam Singh and mathematician Dr. Richard L. Thompson. Already in 1976, Thompson stated, referring to the newly discovered bacterial flagellum, We'd like to argue that the chance and molecular forces theory won't explain things like this, but to say that there is an intelligent designer would be a sensible explanation. So that's Sataputa, 1976, way before anyone else talked about intelligent design. Subsequently, a number of publications have come out from the BI arguing for design as a better explanation for the origin and history of life. These include Mechanistic and Non-Mechanistic Science by Richard Thompson, Darwin's Secret Identity by David Webb, Origin by Richard Thompson and Michael Cremo, Forbidden Archaeology also by Thompson and Cremo, Human Evolution by Cremo, Nature's IQ by Istvan Tazi, and Rethinking Darwin by myself. Although the modern so-called Vedic design arguments arose somewhat independently of what later became the ID movement, they have naturally included many of the well-developed arguments and examples from the ID scientists. At the same time, BI has also developed unique arguments inspired by Vedic philosophy, such as arguments about paranormal research, near-death experience, reincarnation memories, the phenomenon of inspiration, and instincts and behaviors in animals defying simple natural explanations. Thus, the modern Vedic-inspired design arguments carry in some ways a unique approach, while at the same time drawing fully on all the insights of the broader ID movement. I think that was it.